So we talked about budgets, we talked about billing alarms and everything we have talked. And ultimately what we did is that we also started creating, we also started discussing something about EC2, like Elastic Compute Cloud. We have discussed that one because if you want to do anything, because AWS has many dimensions that you can play, right? In AWS, you can have the option of working as a database specialist, a DevOps engineer, security specialist, machine learning, AI, and everything you can do. So anything, whatever you do doesn't matter, but what is the minimum thing that you need to do is that you need to know how to spin an EC2 machine. Sumana has asked a very good question last week. I'll be answering that one, Sumana. Stay tuned, please. Okay. So last week, what we did is we go into this account. So Sumana, this one is a root account or IAM user? This is root account. Within this root account, when you go to this billing dashboard, what you can see is that you can see this particular free tier. Okay. Within this free tier, what you can see is that
you can sharing, sir. You are sharing some other different screen.
Oh, really? Okay. 1 minute. I'm sorry. Yeah. You can see my screen right now?
Yes, we can see now. Yes.
Okay. Thank you. So here, when I go to this place and when I click on this billing dashboard, what happens is when you go to this free tier, okay, I told you, right? Every free tier comes up with a service limits so that I can see here free tier usage limit. Last time we created this Elastic Compute Cloud, which is nothing but your EC2. We spin this server, so we have something like 750 hours for free for 12 months as a part of this AWS free usage that we are having here. Okay, so here we have used this one for 24 hours, and the forecasted usage is something like 144 hours, like that. It shows you basically. And I also told you can have the option of trying to create some budgets. What are the types of budgets that you can create? We can have the option of creating this zero spend limit or monthly cost budgets also. We can create just to keep track of the spending limits, what we do here in this particular case. This is the second thing that we have seen. Okay. And the third thing that we have seen here is initially, when you are working on this one, when you go to this account, this is one thing that I think Sai Ganesh has asked me, right? You be in the root user. Once you go to the root user, what you have is you have something like billing that exists. You see here, Sai Ganesh, you have something like IAM user
yes.
and access to the billing information. This is the one that you need to activate. Okay, then go into the IAM user and then start manipulating these things. That is the thing that I have told you also as well, if you remember. Okay. Now, I told you once you create your root user, make sure that you keep your root user information secured in a particular position and without manipulating anything, right? Without manipulating anything, because that is used for extraordinary emergency services. Now you create the IAM user, and within that IAM user, you try to give him the administrative privileges and start using that particular IAM user access only. That is also the thing that I have told you. Okay. Now, after showing all these things, we went ahead and then created a normal bare minimum EC2 machine we have created. Okay. The reason why we have created is we need to process something within AWS. That means that we need to have the compute power. It is as if like this. Some people will try to join this particular course over the mobile. That is okay. But generally speaking, you try to join with respect to a laptop. A laptop is the bare minimum thing that you need to have, especially when you want to work in any computer field basically, right? That's the reason. In AWS happens to be your virtualization. Okay, in such a case, you need to create a virtual machine and then spin that virtual machine for the purpose of doing something. That's the reason we try to create these virtual machines. And virtual machines in the case of AWS, they are treated as Elastic Compute Cloud. In short, they are treated as EC2, right? So for the purpose of our understanding, once again, let us go ahead and then take another 3 to 4 minutes of time for the purpose of creating your EC2 machine, show you what are all the features what we had once again, and I'll try to answer Sumana questions what she has asked the other day, and then we will proceed on to the storage part, which is nothing but your simple storage service, which happens to be your S3, because I have told you the database, the storage, the compute, and then the network. These are the 4 things which are the 4 primary pillars that you need to do on any type of thing that you do in AWS, basically. Okay, that's the reason these things are very, very important. Okay, any questions before I proceed, or you are good? Kavita garu, Chandrakal garu, I hope you are following, right? Because this is the second week, I just want to make sure that I know everybody and everybody should know me, and there should be a very interactive way of handling the sessions to make sure that you are quite comfortable. And before I proceed further, I just want to make sure that everybody is good. Yeah.
Yeah, sir, I have some sort of like my first class I have attended. I have some doubts regarding the class. If you allow, I can ask something.
Is it related to this EC2 thing, or it is something else?
It is not related to EC2. It's like I'm the fresher for this field. So regarding this, I have like 2, 3 doubts.
So kindly keep your questions for 1 more hour. Okay, let me complete these things and then I'll answer your questions very patiently. Is that okay with you?
Yeah. It's okay for me, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So what I do is that I go to this one, select this EC2, which is nothing. See, you see this one as virtual. When we say something called as virtual, nothing is ours. Everything belongs to AWS property. Select this EC2. When you select this EC2, then the next thing what you're having is we need to launch this instance. Launch the instance. You need to mention the name of the server. Okay, so I mentioned this one as demo server. You can call that one as instance, or else you can call that one as server also as well, not a problem. EC2 server or EC2 instance. Better to call that one as EC2 instance. Vinith, I hope you are following. Okay. Now, once we select this one, the next thing what we need to have is that for any type of machine, even when you purchase your laptop, people will ask you like what operating system that you use. Okay, so for that particular purpose, what we do is that we need to select this operating system. So most of the time we'll be working on Linux operating system, but we'll also be equivalently be using this Windows operating system also as well. Okay, we just need to make sure that either the Linux operating system or the Windows operating system should be of free tier, applications. Means that it should not cost you anything more. So that's why you select this AWS Linux, which is a free tier. See here, AWS Linux 2023 AMI. What is that AMI stands for? AMI stands for Amazon Machine Image. Okay, which is a 64-bit something. You select this one. You can also have the option of selecting this Windows also as well. When you go to the one, this is Linux, it is showing somewhere. When you select this Windows, Here you can also see here, right? Sumana, you're seeing here, right? In Windows also there is a free tier available that is existing. Mac also there should be something like free tier eligible that should be existing basically, I think, because I have never used a Mac. There won't be any free tier that might be there basically, but for Windows and Linux, you can have the option of installing using this Linux basically. This Linux has been recently released, Amazon Linux 2023 version. Select this one, and I told you once this one is selected, I need to mention what type of how many CPUs that you need to have, as well as how much is the RAM that you need to have. Okay, here T2 micro, this is what is treated as instance family. Okay, when we have something like instance family, automatically what happens is you will be able to understand T2 micro is your instance family, which is having one vCPU and 1 gigabyte of memory that we use.
1 second, Ravi Garu. One quick question here. So the image is the minimum thing, right? Minimum thing to run minimum thing to run the operating system, right?
Yes.
You no need to install the entire thing. This is minimum vanilla flavor or something.
Plain vanilla flavor of the bare platform that you need to install in order to run these things. Yes, sir.
So if you need anything, we have to run the other additional packages. We have to install. Okay.
We need to install. And one more thing here. Adding patches, adding application components is your responsibility, not operating system responsibility. Sorry, not AWS responsibility, right? Because I've shown you that there are some shared responsibilities. Providing the instance is AWS responsibility, and on that instance, trying to put the operating system, trying to add patches, trying to add the applications, trying to increase RAM, something of the sort is our responsibility. Okay, so this is your T2 micro that I have selected. Okay, now there is something called as key pair login. Key pair login, I'll tell you once we start logging into that SSH thing. But right now, what we are doing is that I just want to proceed without a key pair, I'll mention. Please keep in mind, Chandrakal Garu and Kavita Garu, I just want you to maintain a log tracker to make sure that what are the things that I'm deferring or postponing to a bit later date, kindly keep the things in track. Like the first thing what we are not doing here is keep a login, which we need to do at a later point of time. Okay. Now the network settings. I'm not really concerned about these network settings here right now, but what I'm doing is that I'm interested in creating this SSH traffic from anywhere. SSH traffic means secured shell login. That means that anybody from any place can have the option of accessing your EC2 machine. That's the reason I'm mentioning this one. Now, in case if you're trying to create your user, in case if you're trying to create your the EC2 instance as a web server, obviously what you want to do is that you want to allow your HTTP traffic also as well. You can mention. Okay, you mentioned this one. So the hard disk is something like 8 GB it is being provided, but if you want to increase the storage also, you can do this one. So I told you, right, it can be able to have 30 GB of free storage that is available. Every time you need to check something, you need to make sure that how much free tier consumption limits you are having, please keep in mind. That is one thing that is important. Okay, additional details I'm not really going, but one thing what we did is we just mentioned something about your user data. What is that user data that we mentioned? What is the purpose of this user data? Can anybody tell me what we did with this user data? Manogna, you need to answer, ma'am. What is the purpose of this user data?
The scripts will run while booting the server.
How many times the scripts will run while booting?
Only once.
The scripts are expected to run only once. That means that when the system is initially getting booted for the first time, I just want to make sure that I want to put some web server, configure that one. And for any website, what you're having is that you'll be having a type of page, and that page is called as the index.html page we need to have. So we can also keep that HTML page, and then we can try to keep this one like this. These things we'll be seeing in the detail once we get onto the things. But for now, I'll provide you this particular code. You just go ahead and then paste that particular code. Don't worry about what this is doing. One thing what it is doing is that it is installing this web server. It is starting this web server, and we are trying to mention something like hello world from this something where it is being populated. It is being populated with the help of this index.html. Any website, any HTML website, whatever you create will be having the first page, and that first page is generated as index.html in this particular case. That is one thing that you need to really understand. Okay, then after doing all these things, what we can do, Sumana, can we go ahead and then launch your instance, or do we need to do any settings?
Yes, sir, we can launch.
We can launch. Okay, once we launch this particular thing, see here, it launches this one. Successfully launched, and view all these particular instances. You need to see that the corresponding instance what you are having here will be in your pending state. It will come into the running state once it is launched. There are a couple of things that you need to keep in consideration, and then we'll discuss. Shyam, you are from Visual Path, right?
Yeah, I am from Visual.
Yeah. So it is running. Once it is running, you can select this My Demo Server, and what you can do is you can try to select these actions. You can try to select this instance state. What are the options that you're having? If you want to kill the server and totally remove it from AWS, one option what you can do is that you can terminate that instance. Totally terminate that instance so that that instance will never be there with you. But if you want to keep the instance, you can stop this instance like the way I have stopped on that particular day. Okay, and you can also have the option of rebooting the instance. Like your system is responding, your system is not responding fast, and then you need to more time to some junk is happening. You need to reboot your server. Still, you can reboot, and starting and stopping is something that you can start off. So the moment once you select this one, here there are a couple of properties that you need to focus on. What are the couple of properties that you need to focus on? One is nothing but your public IPv4 address, and second is private IPv4 address. Can anybody tell me the difference between this public IPv4 and private IPv4? Sai Ganesh. Ipudu, when anybody outside your AWS is trying to access your EC2 machine, then what they do is that they start using this public IPv4 address they use. Now, if within AWS, you can have more than, suppose, the AWS data engineering and a EC2 machine on and you have this My Demo Server EC2 machine is there, and both would like to communicate with each other. So how they will communicate? They'll be communicating with the help of this private IP4 addresses, basically, right? And then I told you one more thing about this public IPv4 address. What happens is that when you stop your EC2 machine, and then once you restart your EC2 machine, what happens? The public IPv4 address gets changed. The public IPv4 address gets changed, but this private IPv4 address remains constant. The private IPv4 address remains constant. That is the thing that I have told you. So when I try to open this particular address in some machine, what should be able to do? I need to get that hello world basically from this one to make sure that whether it is running.
So Ravigar, one question here. So within AWS, so that means we have to access private only, right?
Exactly.
If you have different VPC, whatever it is, we cannot.
Everything has to be done only with the help of this private IP addresses only.
Okay.
It has to do
Okay.
that.
Okay.
Okay. So when we try to not HTTPS, we try to do this HTTP, and then when we select this one, this is the way that we are getting here. So Suman, are we getting this one or not?
Yes, getting it.
Hello world from this particular thing here. Okay. Now another thing is that this is the private address that I can use basically here. Now, once you have, that means that you have a remote server that you have created here. Okay. Okavela, if you have created a Windows server, you know how to log in, right? You go to this place, select that remote desktop connection, and then you can 1 minute. You can open this one. Where is this one here? You can mention this machine here, whatever it is there, and then you can log in. If it is going to be a Windows virtual machine or Windows something else, basically. Okay, but since this is a Linux machine, the easiest way from any place where we can have the option of working is, see here. You go to this one and then connect. What is the thing that we need to use here? We want to use something like connect using EC2 instance connect. And the moment once you connect, you will be logging into this particular place here. You'll be logging into this particular place. This is your EC2 instance, what we have created here. Okay. So here I can mention something like who am I? I'm not going into the data, but mentioning how we can have the option of accessing this particular EC2 machine with the help of your instance connect, which is the easiest and powerful way of connecting to your EC2 machine that you have just launched.
Sir, actually, after spinning the EC2 instance, can we edit any of the properties like user, data, or anything?
Yeah, we can do. Yeah, you can have the option of it because whatever the properties that you are mentioning at the time of creation is only for it to get launched. Okay, you can always go back and then make the necessary changes, whatever is really required. Suppose if you want to increase the RAM, if you want to increase the storage, okay, if you want to increase some SSH security things, okay, if you want to user data in general, I told you, right, that is only one thing that we do at the time of the installation itself, right? Okay, that's the reason we prefer not to do that one with respect to the user data, but all the other things what you're having here can be changed accordingly depending on your criteria. Does it answer your question, sir?
Yeah, yes.
That is the way you can have the option of working with these particular things here. Is it clear? Are any questions so far? Now, having said this, I would like to spend the next 30 minutes for creating the another powerful, basic, essential service of AWS, which is nothing but your S3. What is that S3? Sumana, can you tell me what is this S3 stands for?
The storage, is it version 3? I don't know why it's 3.
It is simple storage service. Simple storage service. That's why it is S3.
Okay.
Simple storage service. That's why it is S3. Okay. The first thing you see here, Amazon S3, what you are seeing here is one of the main building blocks of AWS. It is advertised as infinitely scaling storage. What does it mean is infinitely scaling storage? Means you can have the option of dumping anything to that particular S3, whether it is petabyte, whether it is hexabyte, whether it is zettabytes of storage, whatever you want, you can have the option of storing that much amount of data within that S3. Okay, so and another thing is many website uses S3 as the backbone. So whatever all the websites that you talk about, they predominantly use this S3 as the backbone basically. And one more thing is that from data warehousing perspective, from data engineering perspective, what we do is that many AWS services from the data engineering perspective uses S3 as an integration topic also as well. That's the reason this is going to be very, very important. Okay, and then we are going to have a step-by-step approach for S3. We'll be seeing only the initial part of how to create an S3 and how to get the access and everything we'll be seeing here. Okay, guys and AWS friends, one thing that I want you to understand is anything that you are working in AWS, the first thing that you need to do is that how to create is one thing that is important. And the second thing that is important is how to provide access. That means that that is the security privileges which are really important. Security privileges which are really important. That is the second thing. Okay. And the third thing is that how much usage it is taking in order to cut down that billing. And the use so that we can have the option of putting our costs in limit is something that we need to understand. And one more thing is that once our usage completes, it is always better to terminate that particular service to make sure that we don't run into unnecessary costs. Okay, one thing that you need to understand is there are so many people who have got bankrupted. Ravikumar Garu, I'm using a word called as bankrupted. Okay, without having a control on how the resources are being running and then how much time it is running. Okay, so they kept on getting those escalated bills again and again so that they got bankrupted also as well. That is one thing that we need to understand. Many companies also as well for that particular matter. Okay, so when we go into these Amazon use cases, these are all the places where we can use here. NASDAQ uses 7 years of data within this S3 glacier. So basically, in all of these use cases, which is one thing that is very much important to us, which is one thing that is very much important to us, please tell me.
Budget.
Kalmana, in all these use cases, which is one thing that we are going to see in all these use cases? It can be data lakes and big data analytics. That is our focus. Data lakes and big data focus. We are not here to do the static websites. We are not here to do the delivery of the software, application hosting, and all those things, backup and storage thing. We are here for this data lakes and big data analytics is something that is really important, for which we'll be needing this S3 bucket here. Okay, so we'll see the theory again, but I want to jump into the practical so that we'll start creating an S3 bucket. By this Friday, I just want to make sure that everybody is having comfortability with respect to creating an EC2 machine, working with the EC2 machine, and then creating an S3 bucket and working with the S3 bucket, creating an RDS, relational database service, working with the relational database service, and then a bit of networking also we are going to see in this particular week. That is what is the target. Okay, I hope you guys are following. So we get into the point here. So I'm not going to this one. So let me go to this place here. So I'm stopping this one. Make sure that you stop instance state and then stop this one. If it is stopped, then it is of no harm to you. But when it is running, then that is the problem. Then that is the problem that you need to focus. Clear? It is stopping. Now, where should we go here? I need to go to the services. Sumana, where should we find that one? Storage. Within the storage, we need to go with this scalable storage within the cloud, which is your S3 bucket. S3 bucket here. So, whenever you are working here, make sure that what is this one here? Here, suppose when I go to the CC2 machine, Kavita, I want you to focus here in Kavita. When I select this CC2 machine, this is North Virginia. Okay. When I go here and then select this S3 bucket, that is being treated as global. Suman, I hope you are seeing the difference here, right? Yeah, that is treated as global here. So why is the difference will be seen. So what I want to do is that I want to create a bucket. So here, when you click on this create bucket, see here, please very carefully. Guys, I kindly go on mute, please. Okay. So here I'm giving the bucket name. Please understand, whatever the bucket name you are giving, that should be globally unique. That should be globally unique. Suppose if I try to create a test bucket, okay, making sure that I'm only the one I'll try to use. When I say something like create bucket, when you come here, it says that bucket name contains invalid contents. Here, bucket name must be unique with the global namespace. And whatever all the buckets that are being created around the world should be unique. That's why it is being treated as global. That's why it is being treated as global. So that's why here I'll mention something like S3. It should always be in small letters only. Again, once again, S3 or else Ravi AWS DA. Okay, and then S3 demo. You create like this. What I'm doing here, Ravi AWS DA data engineering, data analytics, S3 demo. Kindly make sure that you give only the meaningful names so that you can come back and then refer at a later point of time. That's the reason. Kindly follow this particular approach. And I can mention the region where you need to create this one. Ravi Kumar Garu, like I need to be, suppose if you are joining from India, please make sure that you try to get it from Mumbai. Okay. When you try to create this bucket near to the region where you are in, automatically what happens is that you will be incurring less cost. Okay, automatically what happens is, based on the region where you are located, AWS suggests your default region. So this is US East, North Virginia. So that's why you can select like this. You can also have the option of changing this one also as well. That should not be a problem. Okay, so I'm mentioning the name of the bucket and then I specify this bucket name. Then I'm not doing anything here. Object ownership, I'm not connecting anything at this particular point. But what I'm doing is that block public access settings for this particular bucket. Since if I try to block this public access, what happens is that no one will be able to access the information that is present in your buckets. That's the reason I'm trying to block all this particular access. This is the highest level of security that you are going to put on your bucket. Highest level of security that you are going to put on this particular bucket, which is nothing but trying to block all your public access. Is that clear to you? Then bucket versioning, don't follow anything. Okay, tags, don't follow anything. Default interruption, don't do anything, and simply go ahead and then create this particular bucket. So what for we are creating this particular bucket? Can anybody tell me? Harish, Manogna, or Pravina, what is the purpose of creating this particular bucket?
To store data.
To store only the data or anything?
Metadata and
Any data we can store.
related.
Any data. any data that we can store. You can store table data, you can store images, you can store logs, you can store your information, anything can be stored. That's why it is treated as a bucket, can store anything. Your relational database may not store images, but this bucket can store any type of images also as well. Your bucket can store any type of images also as well. That's why this bucket can store any data. That's why it is called as a dump yard. Dump yard. Okay. So we mentioned the name of the bucket. We mentioned the region where it is existing. And we didn't do anything. We prevented this block, all this public access. And then what we did is that we entered and then created this particular bucket. Created the bucket. What is the bucket that has been created? The bucket has been created is this one here. Okay. And one thing I'll tell you here, I'll just go into the slide and then I just want to tell you two things before we go ahead here. See, AWS S3 allow people to store objects in buckets. We have created this bucket, right? Buckets must have a globally unique name, which I have told you. If you try to create test, it will not take. If you create Ravi, it will not take. Buckets are defined at the region level. That's what we have seen now. S3 is like a global service, but buckets are created within this region. This is one important question that will be coming from the certification point of view. So S3 looks like a global service, but buckets are created in a region, which is important. Naming convention, so and so you can see that is not a problem. Okay. But when you go to the next slide, this is important. The maximum buckets, the maximum object size, what we can put in this one is 5 terabytes of one file. If you can keep that file can be of 5 terabytes in size. That is the bucket size that you can keep over there. Okay. But when you're trying to upload the data through AWS, it should not be more than this 5 GB. These are the two things that you need to understand. Okay. Manogna, I'm telling you once again, the maximum object size of a file or an object that you keep within a bucket is supposed to be of 5 terabytes. 5 terabytes. But 5 terabytes thing cannot be loaded all at once. That means that you need to keep. You need to cut the data into multiple pieces of 5 GB and then you'll be able to multi-upload. That means that through the AWS management console, the maximum size that you'll be able to upload into AWS should be of 5 gigabytes in size. That is one thing that you need to understand. That is the size that you need to understand in this particular case. Okay. So come back here. I want to upload a file. So I go here. Double click this one. Not this one, sorry. What is the file that you created? This one. What it is asking here? It is asking you to upload the files. Open this upload. Open this upload. And what you do is that you try to add these files here. While I'm trying to add these files, what you do is that and some. Really? Let me take some picture here and then I'll show you 1 minute. You take this S3. Within this S3, I'll take this coffee picture. And then open this one. Copy picture and then open this one. Now, what I can do is that I can try to upload this file here. You're uploading the file here. Once we upload this particular file, then what you do is that you click this file here. Right? So when you click this file, what it is doing is that it is giving you a particular URL for the purpose of accessing this particular file. But one thing what you can do is that when you click on this open here, please follow carefully. When I click on this open, automatically what I can do is that I can see this sweet morning coffee. You can see like this. Where did I click this one? I came here and I click on this one. I'll be able to see that coffee here. But at the same time, you see here, amazon.coffee.com, coffee.jpc. And when you see this whole content, this is very large content. And AWS believes that you are the person who has created this image, is trying to access this particular content. That's why it gives you the pre-signed URL for the purpose of accessing by yourself. And the one who creates this particular file, who uploads this particular file, the owner of the bucket can be able to access this particular file within the bucket using that particular option what you're having here. Open option what you're having here. Okay, but you try to use this one here. Ravigar, I can use this one, right? AWS D demo S3 AWS coffee.jpg. So when I select and then when I try to open this one, what it is saying here? Sumana, what is it saying? Chandrakalgar, what it is saying?
Access denied.
Yeah, why is that it is saying access denied? Because you have seen in this bucket, right? How can you say this one here? When you close this one, when I go to this properties, when you go to this public property, it is specified that buckets and objects are not public. That means that no one else will be able to access this particular bucket. So when you see this one, you are able to see like after coffee.jpc, this is the authorization that has been given to the owner of the bucket for accessing this one. But when you go here and then when you see here, nothing has been given. That's why your access is blocked and then you are not able to access that one. Okay. One important question that comes is, being the owner of the bucket, how can you access the files out there? And how you cannot access the files here is this one. Now, as I have told you, right, once you create the bucket, obviously you need to give permissions to the people in order to access the files within the bucket. In order to access the files within the bucket, we need to give them. Okay. For that particular purpose, what we do is come back here. Please follow carefully. These steps are very important. I go to this one. Open this one. What should I do here? I need to go to this permissions. What is being specified here? Block public access is defined here. The first thing what I need to do is that I need to allow this one first. So that's why when you click on this edit, automatically what I need to do is that initially, you remember, Chandrakalgaru, when we created this bucket, I mentioned something like block all public access has been selected. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to unblock this. And then click on this save changes. It will be asking you, because since this is the highest level of security, it is asking you to confirm whether you want to make these particular changes and then give the access to the bucket for all the people. So that's the reason what it is that I'll try to click on this confirm here. Confirm here and then click on this confirm button here. So no, is it not off or here? Right, Kumar, you can see here, right? This is off. We are able to access this one. We are able to access this one. Now what we need to do is that we need to go to this policies. I told you, right? Permissions in the case of AWS are basically treated as policies. So that's why I'll come to this bucket policy. Okay, the bucket policy provides access to the objects stored in the bucket. That's why I need to provide, if I want to provide the access to the object stored within the bucket, then I need to create this bucket policy. That's why initially this thing is blank, right? Now I want to edit this one. This is very important. Kindly focus. When I click on this blank, this is the place where I need to write the code. But so many people has been asking me from last week, hey Ravi, do you think that I need to learn coding? Hey Ravi, do I need to learn programming? Hey Ravi, I don't know anything about programming. Can I work on AWS? Okay. Hey Ravi, do you think that without having any programming background, can I shine within AWS? Those are all the questions that have been asked. So I just want to answer that one with the help of this simple example. So I'm not writing any code here, but what I'm doing is that there is something called as policy generator, right? I click on this policy generator. So Pravina, this is for you. I'm clicking on this policy generator. When we click on this policy generator, it is asking me, the policy generator is a tool that enables you to create the policies automatically based on the customizations what you make. Based on the customizations what you make, it will allow you to create these policies automatically. So what is the type of policy that I need to select? You tell me.
S3 bucket policy.
Yeah, we need to talk about this S3 bucket policy. Thank you, ma'am. We need to talk about this S3 bucket policy. Select this S3 bucket policy. Whether I want to allow or whether I want to deny. I want to allow. Whom I want to allow? Everybody is very much interested to see these coffee images, right? When everybody is interested to see these coffee images, I just want to make sure that I provide the access to everybody. Okay, so such a type of everybody in the case of AWS, the users are treated as principals. Principal. So here, I just want to mention something called a star. Chandrakala, what does it mean if I put star here?
It can do every action or resource.
Anyone can access the bucket. Anyone can access the bucket. Principal means the user, any user. So when I want to make sure that any user can access, then I need to put that star over there. Okay. So the AWS service is S3 because I have selected this S3 bucket. Nothing else we can select here. Okay. Now, what are the actions I want? I want to get that object basically, right? I want to get that object. So when you go here and then when you select this get object, select this get object and then you close this one. This is one object that I want. And what is the resource name of that bucket? When you go to this one, every bucket will be identified with the help of a name, and that name what you're, sorry. So every bucket, when you go to the properties, you have something called as a name. What is that name here? That name is nothing but your Amazon resource name, ARN. So I select this ARN, click on this ARN like this. Select this ARN. Okay. Here you mention this ARN here in this case. Okay. And in that bucket, I can have the option of accessing any file for that matter, any object for that matter. So what it is that I mentioned that forward slash and then put the star. That means that when I put that star, that means that anything within that bucket can be accessed by any user with one type of operation. What is that operation? That operation is nothing but your get object. Okay. Once I mention this one, I click on this add statement. So when I add this particular statement, Pravina, do you think that we are coding anything here?
No.
We are managing the things.
Yes.
So when you click on this generate policy, it is generating this policy. Simply copy this policy, come to this place where I have shown something, right? Within this policies, there is a bucket policy here, right? When there is a bucket policy, what you do is that you click on this edit. When you click on this edit, just simply copy, keep and paste the code here. Kavita garu, ippudu meer cheppandi. Do you think that programming is really required to create this code here?
I don't think so.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, because we need to understand how we will be able to customize the things and we'll be able to create these particular things basically. Once we do this one, you please try to save these particular changes. Why are we doing this one here? Why are we generating the policy? The reason why we are trying to generate this particular policy is to make sure we give access to the objects within the buckets publicly. Okay. Earlier, when you have seen this one, it says something like access is denied. Okay. Now you come here. And then 1 minute. Go to this Amazon S3. Sorry. Go to this buckets. Go to this one and open this copy.jpg and you have this object URL. What is object URL? This object URL is nothing but the website link anybody can use for the purpose of accessing your data. Copy this one and you go ahead and then try to paste this. Are we able to access this one or not? Now tell me. Ravikumar, are we able to access this coffee?
Yes, sir. So even if in our browser also we can able to access, right? If
Of
this
course.
part.
Yeah, sorry. I'll share the link and you tell me whether you are able to access it or not. Sorry.
So for all the image access, okay, do we need to have the each image link to access?
For every object, we need to have that access. Yes, sir.
Okay.
And incocote, sir, instead of everybody, is there a way like we can block some people and give some access?
Of course.
Okay.
అది కూడా చెప్తాను మీకు అది చెప్పేలోపు
Yeah, I'm able to see now.
Everybody should be able to see that one. ఇప్పుడు ఇందాక వచ్చినప్పుడు this has been blocked. Now when you try to open this one, you'll be able to access this. That simply is that one, basically like that. Okay. Is that clear? No, indaka Ravikumar is asking a question like, is it everybody or can we block? So every user will be having something called as ARN, right? ARN. Okay. Indaka here I mentioned something called as principal as star. Where is that one here? The principal as star here. Suppose if you can specify the condition, something like where principal not equal to those ARN names, you can block the activities like that basically. Okay. So this is the one that is going to be driving who can access and who cannot access. This is basically treated as a bucket policy. This is the bucket policy that we have created so far. Any questions? Please let me know. Now I'm not rushing into the next session. The next session only will start at 10 o'clock here. So you can ask any questions now.
Ravi, one question. So we have EC2 instance, right? Can we attach S3 to EC2 instance or no?
S3 instance Ninchi will be able to access the data that is in S3 bucket. We'll be able to do that one. Yes. Danki, we need to wait for till tomorrow to get into that one, but I'll show you here. Since you have asked.
So one question, Ravi Garu. So the pre-assigned URL is only for that user, right? Who created it?
Only for that owner
Okay.
who has created that object within that bucket. Yes.
Okay. And can he grant that pre-assigned URL to somebody else? Like
No. Pre-assigned URL is only for you.
Okay.
Only for you, and that exists only for a limited period of time. That's it.
Okay.
It cannot be granted to anybody. And that will be having a limited time period also as well, basically. When you are, I'll tell you one thing. You are calling a customer care, okay, and you don't have any of your identity credentials ready with you, then the customer will ask you, can you tell me your ID? Then they say that I don't have the ID. Then what they do, they'll send you some temporary link, right, to access, to make sure that such type of thing is this pre-assigned URL, basically.
Okay. Click on that and
Get that one. Yeah. We'll be seeing that EC2 will be able to do that one with the help of the rules. Those things we'll be able to see from tomorrow.
Okay, Ravi. Tomorrow.
Yeah. Shyam, on the day you're asking a lot of questions. Can you please? Manogna, Pravina, who else? The one who have joined today. Harish. Vineet, are you following? Cool. Okay, cool. No problem, sir. Sai, go ahead.
No.
Guys, from tomorrow onwards, this session will be ours for 1.5 hours. 1.5 hours. If you really don't have anything to ask, then the thing that I can do is that I can extend this session for 1.5 hours. So whether you want to ask questions or whether you want me to continue tomorrow, from tomorrow, you tell me. Yeah. Because we need to cover, we need to go slow. We need to touch each and every topic. I just want to make sure that you should be comfortable with each and every option, not all at the same time, step by step. And the moment at the same time, I want to get you all into data engineering and data analytics very soon. So the roadmap is going to be like this. So I go to this place, go to this place. So once this S3 is done, I need to show you something called as this thing, which is important. Anybody has touched this one, which is Cloud Shell, which is important. Cloud Shell, which is important. Another fancy feature what you're having here is Cloud9. చాలా మంది అంటూ ఉంటారు కదా, ఏమని అంటూ ఉంటారు, Like when that guy is going gaga, or when he's over the top, looks like he's on cloud 9. We also have something like cloud 9 is there, which is important. Again, a cloud IDE for writing, running, and debugging code. Okay. Of course, we are not going to write the code from ABC and all. We are going to customize the things, and then we'll be this cloud 9 and Cloud Shell. These are two are really important for us. We'll be doing them. Then I have not touched something called as key pair. That is one that key pair that I want to talk about. Okay, so I'll talk about that key pair also as well. And the next thing what I need to do is that I just want to make sure that when you go into this database, because this is our destination. So when you go into this database, we'll be having something called as RDS, Managed Relational Database Services. Once we go into this relational database services, when you open that one, when you have some free time, just try to browse each and every service, what it does and all. In this one, when you go to this database services, it will be asking you to create a database. When you are asked to create a database, you can have the option of these things won't exist in Snowflake, basically. That's why I love AWS. ఈ విషయం అక్కడ చెప్పాలండి మీరు ప్లీజ్. Okay, you can have this Aurora MySQL, you have this MySQL, you have this Oracle MySQL Server. These are all the databases that you can set up, whether it is dev test, production, or free tier. You can do everything happens to be the free tier unless and until you are rich. So Mana, if you are rich, you go with this production. If you are okay, then you go with this free tier. Which one do you want to go? Okay, this is one thing that we need to understand. Once it is done, then what we do is that we go into something called as streaming. 1 minute, I'll tell you something like Kinesis. Kinesis, working with real-time streaming data. Everything we talk about is only the data. These are the services that we talk about, the Kinesis. Kinesis data streams, Kinesis data firehouse, we talk about these things. Okay, then the next thing what we do is that we talk about this data. Like I told you, right? When you go to this database, we have something like the database migration service that exists. We'll be seeing here, 1 minute. Migration and transfer, you see here, basically, when you go to this data migration transfer, you have something like migration hub is there, database migration service will be talking here. This is really, really important. Okay.
So this is for all the relational database migration. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. All the relational databases. Okay.
So this is like a lift and shift, basically. Like
this is a lift and shift that we'll be doing.
Okay.
And apart from that one, we'll be having something called as glue. It's not the glue that our kids ask and then we give them the glue. There is a glue which is like Informatica. Pravina, this is like Informatica. We talk about this glue. We talk about this glue data brew. We talk about this lake formation, right? I told you all these days about the data lakes. All the data lakes can be formed with the help of this AWS lake formation. We talk about this one. We talk about this analytics service, which is called as Athena, which is important. Okay. And there is something called as QuickSight. QuickSight. The reason I'm telling you all these things is that since you guys are not asking any questions and there are complaints from Visual Path and Harsha Trainings, something like, hey, Ravi is not focusing on clearing the doubts. That's the reason he's just rushing into the next batch. That's the reason we need some time of Ravi's. That's what I have heard. Concern. I respect your concern and then I honor that concern. That's why I have kept a half an hour gap. Not today. Every day till we complete the course. So if you ask questions, I'll be able to answer them. If you don't ask questions, then I'll go with the subject. Okay. So here, when you go with this QuickSight, what it is being done here, Chandrakala, this is something based for fast, easy to use business analytics. Fast, easy to use business analytics. This is the thing that we are going to see. And apart from that one, I have told you, I'll be providing you the launchpad for this machine learning. The launchpad for this machine learning is something called as SageMaker. These are all the things that we're going to see. That's why this course is something that will not end by November, December, January. January 30th, we'll be making sure that. And one more thing, I'm not doing this course only for the purpose of completing these services. We do certifications here.
We are going.
We will be working on the certification part also as well, right? We'll be working on the certifications. I just want my students, I don't call them as students, my friends, to be certified in data engineering and data analytics. And then from January onwards, they need to look into the jobs into that data.
Hello.
Ramana, can you please go on mute if you don't mind?
So, which is the new certification on this one, Ravi garu?
AWS Data Engineering Specialty is the new certification that has come into the market, guys.
Okay.
AWS. See here.
So it was not there before or something?
It was not there before. AWS Data Engineering Certification. Yes.
Okay. What it contains basically, like what the topics and all, can we see the like list?
Of course, I'll show you, sir. Why not? AWS announces new certified data engineer associate. So when you go down, it is going to ask you these things. In a nutshell, it is going to ask you something I'll show you here. Data ingestion and data transformation, data store management, data operations and support, and data security and governance. This is the thing that is going to ask you. So it is going to talk about something like I told you, right? ETL pipelines, Kinesis, Redshift, DynamoDB, CI/CD testing, data store management. This is the place where you store all your data in terms of this S3. We're going to store all these particular AWS storage platforms, data operations, what you are going to do, and data security. That's the reason every time I mention about security with the privacy, authorization, and compliance. These are the 4 things that we are going to talk about. Ravi garu, these things we don't get in Snowflake, basically. Right?
As you said, like ETL pipelines, right? So do we need to know all the transformations which we use for the ETL pipelines?
We'll be doing each and every case stage for all the transformations what are really required, sir. Yes.
Okay. So we usually use the mapping of all the columns from one table to the another table, and we'll load the data into the target table.
We'll be filtering the data, we'll be joining the data, we'll be aggregating the data, we'll be normalizing the data, we'll be transforming the data, everything that we'll be doing using this glue brew.
Glue, yeah. Okay. Do we have any concept like data blocks or?
లేదండి మనకు ఉన్నంత గ్లూ అంత డేటానే మొత్తం అంత ఇక్కడ అంతా ఎవ్రీథింగ్ ఈస్ డేటా.
Okay.
When we will have normally exercises for the classes?
Tomorrow onwards I'll be telling you, hey, tomorrow onwards I'll be telling you, you spin up an EC3 instance. Is it not an exercise that you need to do?
Yeah.
I'll be creating an S3 bucket and you need to put the bucket and then get your hands on that one. Is it not an assignment? Initial assignments I'm talking. Okay. Then if you are really interested, somebody has asked a very beautiful question. How can S3 data can be accessed through EC2? That is an assignment. We're going to work on that basically. So this is the first day, right, of the week. Last week we have done only the initial things, but from I think from Wednesday and Thursday onwards, I'll be dumping like once we dump the data into S3, I'll be dumping a lot of assignments to you to work on basically. Stay tuned, sir. We'll be doing that one for sure.
Sir, it is showing it is still in beta version, no? This one.
Yeah, it is still in beta version. Yes, that's why they're offering for $75 now.
Correct. I just looked into that. Yeah, it is from 27 November.
రాసేద్దామా?
It- uh,
రాసేద్దాం అనే వాళ్ళు చెప్పండి, రాసేద్దాం.
so it's too like it's still in beta version. Okay. Oh, good, sir. At least 75 is good. Not bad.
The early the utilization you do, that would be good. Otherwise,
Correct.
bump to 150 once again.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Kavit garu, you are following, right? Chandrakal garu.
Yeah, I'm following.
Yeah, so more to go. That's the reason I'm just requesting you till we get into that November thing, where we get that November 26th week. We are here from 7th to 24th. I just want to focus as much as you can. ఇంకో విషయం తెలుసా? Another reason is that I know when I keep this buffer time of half an hour, I know people will ask the doubts, but those doubts will be kept to a minimum so that I can have more coverage of subject with more emphasis on the practicals. That's the reason I have taken this one and asked the other batch, Snowflake batch, to accommodate me for the half an hour. They have gladly accepted, and we need to be thankful to them. And one of the person from that batch is this Ravikumar Malapadgudi, and this gentleman, my friend, has completed Snowflake certification last Saturday, I think. Yeah, he has done the certification. So that's why I prefer and I give a lot of value to the certifications, because I don't say that certification only will help you to get a job, but it will really accelerate the chances of shortlisting your resumes and then putting the profile into the market. And one more thing I am telling you once again, AWS is not something that goes away. Okay, AWS is something that is going to stay here for at least a decade and a half. There is asking question, can you cover all the data engineering aspects? SQL anyway you are going to cover. Kafka will not be covering. DBT will be not be covering, but ETL data warehouse and everything we are covering. Glue will be covering. Okay, PySpark will be covering. Okay, and then data lakes, yes, will be covering. Okay, and then what you are asking, sir? You are asking about Hive. I don't cover, because Hive is something that is big data Hadoop. I don't cover, but I'll be covering this EMR, Elastic MapReduce. I'll be covering. Raviji, does it answer your question? Kubernetes I'm not covering, because Kubernetes is a container service. I don't cover that one, but in case if it is really required, we'll look into that one. Airflow will look into that one, but more
What about Lambda, AWS Lambda?
Lambda is something that will be doing a lot. Serverless computing is something that will be doing. Lambda is going to be everywhere that we are going to focus on these things. Okay, so this is just the beginning.
So in the engineering, he's not putting the redshift and all.
Redshift, Spectrum, Redshift, both are there.
Is there like in that because where is that?
ఇక్కడ కిందకి వెళ్తే ఉంటాయండి, అనాలిసిస్ టు డూ అనే డొమైన్ లో ఉంటుంది మొత్తం. ఇది ఇంకా వీడు కరెక్ట్ గా ఇవ్వలేదు. ఈ ఎగ్జామ్ గైడ్ లోకి వెళ్తే విల్ గివ్ టు సీ ఆల్ ద థింగ్స్. See, when you go into this exam guide, you see here Redshift.
Okay.
ఏమన్నా కనిపిస్తుందా? Yeah.
He's covering everything. Okay.
అసలు Redshift లేకుండా అసలు ఇదిగో యాప్ ఫ్లో కూడా ఉందండి. యాప్ ఫ్లో కూడా ఉంది. Somebody is asking Airflow, but we have this app flow here.
Okay.
అసలు Redshift లేకుండా we can't have this AWS in picture for sure.
Yeah.
That is a data warehouse just like Snowflake.
They didn't include Athena here. They are not part of it.
Will you cover Python? I mean, any specific libraries such as Pandas? And Pandas will be covering here, Caliban.
Yeah. Thanks, Ravi.
Okay, no problem.
Sir, can you just send me this link, sir? I just want to take a look.
Can you and అడగొద్దని మిమ్మల్ని చాలాసార్లు చెప్పింది for sure. Okay, thank you. So that's it. So tomorrow we'll meet with more focus, more vigor, more passion, and then we'll drive these things. Okay.
So where is it, sir? I didn't see.